In the headlines, Apapa Labour Party factions call for arrest of Obi Abure, others over interim national government calls. Vice President-elect Shettima meets elected APC lawmakers over zoning, once against rancor. Gombe commercial motorcycle rider who lost eye to thugs attack demand justice. And on the international scene, more bodies dug up as Kenyan cold death toll climbs to 179. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thank you for joining us. Now the news in full. The Lamidi Apapa faction of the Labour Party has called on the military to arrest the presidential candidate of the party in the 2023 general elections, Peter Obi, and any other person moving and clamoring to put a stop to the transition process and the inauguration of President-elect Bola Tinubu on May 29, 2023. The National Publicity Secretary of the Apapa faction, Abayomi Arabambi, disclosed this to journalists in Abuja after the FCT High Court reaffirmed Lamidi Apapa as acting chairman. Arabambi also stated that if the party's legal team at the Election Petition Tribunal in Abuja failed to meet the factional chairman to brief him on the legal proceeding within 48 hours, they would appoint new lawyers to represent the party at the tribunal.
For him or any other one calling for interim administration, we are calling on the regional police to arrest all of them because nobody is above the law. You cannot plunge Nigeria to war and you say you want to rule that country. We, Labour Party, we are saying capital no to such evil call by Peter Obi that Shadwabala Ahmed Tinubu should not be sworn in. Like just we have said, anyone henceforth calling for establishment of interim administration, treating fire and peace in Nigeria, threatening the peace of Nigeria, conducting themselves, in a manner in a manner that is likely to call breach of peace, they should be arrested. They are just a bunch of thugs who want to, use Labour Party cover to call mayhem in Nigeria. And I am telling Nigerians today, I am telling the Director General of Police with due respect, I am telling the Director General of SSS with due respect that they are not members of the Labour Party. If anyone call for a certain interim administration, including Peter Obi, they should be arrested.
The Vice President-elect Kashim Shettima has warned against the consequences of having a rancorous National Assembly, as it will stain the relationship between the legislature and executive and deny the people dividends of democracy. Shettima gave the warning during a meeting with the Speaker and Deputy Speaker aspirants Tajuddin Abbas and Benjamin Kalu in Abuja. The meeting was at the instance of the Joint Task Group of the 10th House, comprising members of all political parties with members-elect into the Green Chamber at the February 25th general election. Addressing the lawmakers, numbering over 100, Shettima said former President Goodluck Jonathan lost the 2015 election as a result of a rancorous House following the emergence of Aminu Tambuwal as the Speaker of the House against the party's wish, warning that a similar fate could befall the APC if the agitations are not properly handled. He endorsed speakership candidate Abbas. Abbas expressed gratitude to the president-elect and his vice and assured of a harmonious legislative and executive relationship for the progress of the country.
Given the current circumstances we found ourselves in, the stability of the nation is much more important than all other considerations. The most incompetent, the most corrupt Southern Christian is better than the most puritanical and competent Northern Muslim to be the President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. All other considerations have to be relegated to the background. Because we are talking of the stability of the nation.
We are very grateful to you to Mr. President-elect and to the party for finding us worthy of this enormous leadership. And I want to assure you that we will not disappoint the party, we will not disappoint you, we will discharge our responsibilities with utmost efficiency.
We decided to show that unifying the nation will inspire national loyalty from all corners of the nation. And you remember Southeast, and you said, granted, before now, no Southeasterner was in the presiding officer's position the last 4 years. But this time, irrespective of the number of votes that came from Southeast, the party considered cohesion.
Meanwhile, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Idris Wase, has declared for the lower lawmaking body's speakership position. Wase, who formally declared his intention for the position at an event in Abuja on Friday, also reeled out his experience to lead the House of Representatives if elected. The lawmaker representing Wase Federal Constituency said on several occasions he had sacrificed for the National Assembly and the country by dropping his leadership ambition. At the ceremony, which was attended by his supporters and some members of the ruling All Progressive Congress (APC), the lawmaker urged Nigerians to unite and work together for the betterment of the country. His declaration is coming days after the APC zoned the National Assembly leadership post, picking Godswill Akpabio and Tajuddin Abbas as Senate President and House of Representatives Speaker, respectively. Conduct of elections in a plural society like Nigeria is often characterized by animosities, malice, and violence. To reverse the trend ahead of governorship election in 3 states later this year, stakeholders in elections matters suggest ways forward with accurate data on violence recorded during the 2023 elections. Noel Sanson has more.
Governorship election in Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa states is few months away. But learning from the 2023 general elections, stakeholders say identifying the causes of electoral violence and ways of mitigating them is important.
The general elections, as they have reported, was relatively peaceful, according to their report. And from what we know as journalists, that the election was relatively peaceful, even more peaceful than the 2019 general elections. You saw it in their report. The cases reported, tracked during this election was lower. The record was lower to that of 2019. So that is an achievement in terms of being peaceful.
Most importantly, what we need to do to party talks, to power of incumbency, to finance of election violence, because we have seen from the data that it takes resources to finance election violence. So again, we also seen that, look, we have to do better in terms of arrest, in terms of being proactive and not reactive, in terms of making use of intelligence report to curb electoral violence.
The electoral violence is the deliberate use of force to attain political power. So in Nigeria, we have seen that a lot of politicians incite this kind of violence to ensure that they grab power by all means.
Furthermore, ways in which electoral violence could be stopped or brought to a minimum are highlighted.
Our advice and we are already shouting it now, is that the security agencies need to be proactive. They need to begin to go and mop up all this proliferation of these light arms in those states. They need to take it off. They need to look at the perpetrators of violence as we have placed them today. Greater percentage of them are the political thugs.
INEC is taking the issue of electoral offences very seriously. Very, very seriously. And it won't be like before, that people will just commit an offense and it will go away. No, we started with our own staff, the Rex, for instance.
One good way is to leverage the available data to see areas, flashpoints where this violence occurred. When you leverage data, you see the specific locations where this occurred, and then you you define the kind of violence. Is it that there are people who are known to cause this violence? Like, for example, are there thugs, particular thugs who are known every electoral year, you see them performing the same acts of violence?
Electoral violence do not only undermine the electoral process, but also undermines civil and political rights of citizens in any given society. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
On security matters, a 34-year-old Okada rider has lost one eye after he was attacked by suspected gangs in Gombe metropolis. The Okada operator was attacked while trying to rescue his neighbor from suspected hoodlums who attacked the area. The father of four said life has been very difficult after losing one eye and 4 fingers in the incident. He is calling on security operatives to investigate the matter and bring the perpetrators to justice. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
The 34-year-old Gombe-based Okada operator was attacked after he joined his friends to rescue a victim of gang attack in their neighborhood. Sadly, he turned out to be the victim. The attackers used machetes and knives and wounded Ibrahim on his face. He lost his right eye and 4 fingers on his right arm. Some thugs attacked our neighborhood and looted shops. The following day, they attacked again. When I returned from my Okada walk, I heard someone screaming. We went to rescue him. They removed one of my eyes and cut my fingers. Ibrahim, who has a wife and 4 children, is struggling to cater for his family because of the injuries he sustained during the attack. The victim, who now lives with his mother, is demanding for justice as his family is concerned that the suspected attackers were not arrested more than a month after the incident. His children are with their mother, who returned to her parents because he has nowhere to stay. That is why he is in my room. The victim's family admitted that they did little to reach out to the police to investigate the matter and arrest the perpetrators. Commenting on the issue, Nigeria Police Gombe State Command said failure of the victim's family to lodge an official complaint hinders the police from arresting the suspect.
Then you will not find them again. You will not see them. What you will only hear is blame. Blaming the police for not arresting the suspects. How do you expect the policeman to know the people that carried out this act on you if without reporting, without telling them some of the clues that the person resembles so? Yes, I know the person. No, I don't know the person. You are the one to give all this information.
Ibrahim, who is in pain due to the lost one eye, hopes that security agencies will guarantee the people's safety. We know the thugs and their parents. I want them to be punished. Their parents should compensate me for losing an eye and fingers. This is my problem. Gombe has been battling with violence from thugs known as Kalare Boys, who have been unleashing mayhem on unsuspecting members of the public. Security operatives have, however, assured that the activities of the group will be curtailed to guarantee security of lives and property. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
Adamawa State Police Command has rescued an 11-year-old orphan, Fahad Abdul Karim, from intense torture in the hands of his guardians. In a statement by the Public Relations Officer of the State Police Command, Suleiman Ngoroje, the police said that the orphan was placed under the care of the guardians as a result of the death of his father. He disclosed the names of the alleged torturers as Kamal Idris, 24, and Ambasiya Idris, 19, all residents of Wuro Jambe Yola South local government area. According to the police spokesman, the couple have been frequently and willfully torturing the little child, as a result of which he sustained grievous bodily injury. The command explained that upon receiving the report, it swung into action, rescued the child and rushed him to the hospital, where he is currently receiving treatment. Meanwhile, police in Kwara State have arrested a medical doctor, Ayodele Joseph, for allegedly raping a patient after sedation in Ilorin. The victim, a nurse, was said to have set up a recording for her proposed surgery only to discover through the recording that she was raped after she became unconscious. Briefing newsmen at the police command, Commissioner of Police Paul Odama disclosed that the claims was corroborated by a medical examination on the victim. The accused, Dr. Ayodele Joseph, claimed that the victim was his girlfriend for 8 years. He described the incident as a set up by the victim to extort money from him.
Before the sedation, fearing any mishap, the patient activated her telephone and placed in a vantage position to record the surgery unknown to the doctor before the expected surgery. She woke up from sleep after the surgery to find herself fully naked. And when reviewing the recorded video, she discovered that the said Dr. Ayodele Joseph had an unlawful sexual intercourse with her while she was under sedation and unconscious. Investigation led to the recovery of the video recording of the sexual action of the said doctor on the victim, which was also corroborated by the medical examination conducted on the victim.
The allegation is not true at all, because the lady set me up, and the lady is in a position to now wanting to confess. And by the time I bring the letter, the lady wrote, because he is collecting ransom. He is doing that to collect ransom from us. She has collected close to 500,000 naira from us. So definitely is a kind of a setup to try and collect ransom. How could you imagine someone of that nature that I train? I'm the one that trained him to become a nurse. I trained her to become a nurse. I sponsor her to go to one school of nursing in Lagos. So she graduated from that school of nursing, came back to me, employed her, working with me. And the only thing that looks shoddy there is the fact that I was befriending her.
You're watching News Update on Trust TV. Coming up, we'll take a look at unlawful extortion called Marching Ground. Details on this and more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is News Update on Trust TV. And here is a recap of our top stories. We brought you Apapa Labour Party faction calls for arrest of Obi, Abure, others over interim national government calls. And Vice President-elect Shetima meets elected APC lawmakers over zoning once against Rancor. Now moving on to more stories, Katsina, a metropolitan city in Nigeria, is currently facing a severe water scarcity crisis due to the rising temperature and lack of power supply. The situation has left residents of the city in a state of despair as they struggle to access clean and safe water for their daily needs. Reports says that the water scarcity crisis in Katsina is made worse by the rising heat wave that has hit the city in recent weeks. Jamil Mabai reports on how residents are struggling to get access to water.
For more than a decade, Aminu Lawal have been buying water for domestic use from vendors at 300 to 500 naira, depending on the demand. Monthly, he spent 9,000 naira while struggling with his low-income business.
There is no government water from Kofar Guga down to this place.
Ajiwa Dam was designed 40 years ago to supply water to 300,000 people within Katsina Metropole. Now it supplies water to over 3 million people. Despite the dam's reduction in size and reduced water level. Katsina is facing a severe water scarcity crisis amid rising temperatures. The city has been experiencing a heat wave, with temperatures reaching up to 40 to 45 degrees Celsius.
Every day there must be a high demand of water due to the climate change and weather of Katsina State. As I told you, we say Katsina is a sunny and hot area due to we are closer to Sahara Desert. So if you are in Abuja or if you are in Port Harcourt, you can only take 3 to 4 bottles of water daily. But if you are in Katsina, you can easily take 12 bottles of water daily.
This has led to an increase in demand for water that residents are now resorting to buy from water vendors who charge exorbitant prices.
Because from my own area, Saulawa, to get a water is like getting a gold or diamond. An ordinary jerrycan of water is sold at 70 to 80 naira for each one. Unfortunately, what surprised me is yearly state government spent or injected billions of naira in the name of solving water scarcity or water problem in the state. But unfortunately, nothing changed. My call to the incoming government, they should try as much as possible to make sure that when they injected billions of public funds, so they make sure that the money must be spent judiciously and must be accountable.
Jamil Mobay, reporting for Trust TV News, Katsina.
Land developers in Makurdi are lamenting unlawful extortion called marching ground from local miscreants. Jimmy Adzande reports that a chain of young people organized themselves in every community to carry out the act. The report.
What I understand about marching ground is a relationship between somebody who is coming to stay in the community, is for him to relate with the area people where he's intend to come and stay. And if you are coming to any domain, you will have to go to the chief, and the chief, you will get relationship between you and the chief and that particular area that you want to go and stay.
It is now common in every community, especially new layouts in Makurdi, where land developers are forced to cough out money before they are allowed to build a house. Some residents said it is unlawful and should not be allowed to continue.
Over time, there have been political talks. So when the idea of political talks was subdued and made to rest, I think they instead of going out of business, they came up with collecting marching ground. So sometimes it's the people in the community, the youth in the community, or sometimes even the community leaders as well, gatekeepers as well, also are in the form of collecting this marching ground at the community level. And as a person who lives in Makurdi and also works in Makurdi, most of the communities that I have worked in or have stayed in Makurdi, the idea of marching ground is a very, it's a concept that brings a community down or takes a community to its lowest. Development doesn't come to those communities.
The residents also said authorities in the state must rise to the occasion and nip it in the bud before it gets out of hand.
I'm one person that I was putting up a structure somewhere in North Bank. They repeatedly come to threaten the workers in the field. And to my greatest surprise, they have the support of our traditional ruler. I don't know where it has started. That thing needs to be discouraged. If we are serious, we need to encourage people who have decided to come and develop our place. Aside from what you pay legally, they come when you are erecting a structure in a site that you must pay that fee. If you have to erect a borehole, you understand they have a specific amount to collect. If that borehole is costing you, I think 400,000, 10% of it must be paid to them. If not, you'll not be able to. We've seen this thing.
There is, however, suspicion that the act is supported by very influential members of the society who play behind-the-scene roles for self-seeking reasons. The residents said if not checked, many land developers will run away from the state capital for their inability to meet up with the marching ground.
And now from the international scene, Kenya investigators unearthed 29 more bodies on Friday in a continuing search for victims of a doomsday cult in the country's southeast. The death toll now stands at 179, as authorities this week have searched for remains in shallow graves scattered throughout the Shakahola forest and more for any survivors of hundreds of people who are still missing or reported missing. On Wednesday, a Kenyan court denied bail of Paul Mackenzie, leader of the Good News International Church, who has been accused of ordering his followers to starve their children and themselves to death so they could go to heaven before the end of the world. Regional official Rhoda Onyacha said that the search had widened to other parts of the forest on Friday. The exhumations will resume on Saturday. Among the corpses exhumed on Friday, 12 were of children. A grave digger at the site of exhumation, who requested not to be named, told Reuters. And lastly, in sports, Wiki Tourists have lodged a complaint with the Interim Management Committee, IMC, on the conduct of the center referee, Ayeni Ridwan, during their the rescheduled Nigeria Premier Football League encounter against Rivers United. The Bauchi Elephants played out a 1-1 draw against the NPL Championship. I beg your pardon, champions at the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa Stadium in Bauchi. Wiki Tourists urged the disciplinary committee of the IMC to look into the conduct of the center referee. According to a letter sent by the Bauchi club to the IMC, they said that the match officials killed the morale of their players, and Wiki Tourists, who are battling to avoid relegation from the NPF, will take on Lobby Stars in their final game on this season next week. With that, we've come to the end of News Update on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thanks for watching.